Hi, you're welcome to the HTML tutorial series. In this tutorial, we're gonna work with displaying images and HTML. So let's get started. I'm gonna click on Start and Notepad++ to bring up the text editor that we're gonna use to write our HTML codes. So I'm gonna key in some few basic HTML tags. There's the body tags, the closing body tags, and we key in the head tags. There's the closing head tags, so I'm gonna key in the title tags. And we're gonna give our HTML document a title. So we are gonna call it images example. And we should save this HTML document. I'm gonna save it in our usual examples folder, which is in the desktop. And let's call this example5.html. Here we go. So we have a basic HTML template to work with. Like I said, this tutorial is about displaying images. So let's start off with displaying some random text. So I'm just gonna put some font text in here to display some random text for you. Give it a size, maybe equal, let's say size 5. So here goes our random text. This is the random text. Okay, so to get some images to display on this web page, we're gonna have to go to my pictures directory from Start, Pictures. Then I have some sample pictures over here. We're gonna select any one of these pictures to display. Let's start with the penguins.jpg image. So we're gonna use that picture. We go back to the code to display that. So I'm gonna use the image tag, which we type img. The image tag is a single tag which doesn't have closing tags, so that's why we're gonna put that / at the end of the closing angle bracket. Then the image tag requires some attributes like the source where the image will be located at. I'm gonna copy the examples, the sample pictures from my sample pictures directory. Then I'm gonna paste it in my examples directory so the HTML document could be able to see the image file. So let's get back to Notepad++, and we're gonna locate the image by the name of the image, which is penguins.jpg. I'm just gonna copy that and paste it in the source attributes of the image tag. Okay, then we're gonna check it out in the web browser. So I'm gonna go to the examples directory, double click on example5.html, and here comes our web browser. Okay, so here's our random text over here. You can see that above the image. So here's the penguins.jpg image over here. Now, as you can see, the penguins.jpg image is a very large image which occupies most part of the browser window. Or we can control the size of that image by giving some more attributes on the image tag. So let's get down there. So down to the example5.html document. In the image tag, we have some attributes like the width of the image, which we're gonna give it a value, and the height, which we're gonna give it a value. Now the width value and the height value, they are all measured in pixels. So let's start off with 300 pixels for the width and 300 pixels for the height. So let's check it out from the web browser. Refresh, and you can see the dimensions of the image has been modified. Alright, although the aspect ratio of the image is not maintained. What I mean by the aspect ratio of the image is that the penguins you can see in this picture have been elongated because of the dimensions that we've modified. Okay, so we can work around that by using percentages on the image width and height attributes. So let's modify that. So we can reduce the image by 50% instead of specifying explicit 300 pixels. Save it. Go back to the web browser, refresh. So you can see it maintains the aspect ratio of the image that we had originally. Now also, apart from reducing the sizes of the image dimensions in the code, we can actually use an image editor to work on the image to reduce the size and the quality, which we already know. For instance, the penguins.jpg image, if you look at the properties of this file by right clicking on the image and selecting properties, you're going to see that is 759 kilobytes. In some slow internet connections from our clients who are browsing our web pages, that kilobyte size might be pretty much large and may take some time to load from the web browser. So we can reduce the size of the image and the dimension and also the quality, and it might take some little time to load, pretty much faster than the original size, especially when we don't intend to display the original size of the image in the web browser. So most notably, we have some image editors software which we can use on our system. We have Microsoft Picture Manager, which is installed by default in most Windows operating systems. So if you have Microsoft Picture Manager, you probably have it in the start menu, all programs. You should have it under the Office tools. Okay, so on down the Microsoft Office tools, you can have the Microsoft Office Picture Manager. I'm gonna open it up. Looks like this is the first time I'm using it on my system, so I'm gonna just close this. I'm just gonna click next. I do not want to install Microsoft Update. I'm gonna click on finish. To open up the penguins.jpg image on Microsoft Picture Manager, we're gonna right click on the penguins.jpg, then we're gonna select open with, and we choose Microsoft Office Picture Manager, and here we go. So we can reduce the size of this image by going to edit pictures, then we click on resize, then we select the percentage of the original width and height. I'm just gonna reduce it to 20%. So I'm gonna click OK, and you can see penguins.jpg is now reduced to 205 by 154 pixels. So I'm gonna save it as, let me save it in my examples directory, which is on the desktop. I'm gonna replace the original penguins.jpg. I'm gonna click on save. Here we go. I'm gonna close this. Now it wants to save the changes on the original image, but I'm gonna click don't save because I don't want to mess up with the penguins.jpg image. Okay, So here we have image source pointing to penguins.jpg. We don't need the width and height attributes any longer. I'm going to remove that, save it, go back to the web browser and refresh, and you can see we have this image and a reduced sized format. Alright, okay, the next thing I'd like us to learn is how to set an image to be the background of the web page. You do that by going to the body tag and setting a background image. So we'll type a background attribute. This is unlike the BG color attribute of the body tag. We set background in this particular one to specify an image. Okay, so I'm gonna copy an image from my sample pictures to use as a background. Let's try this chrysanthemum.jpg. So I'm gonna copy it, go to my examples directory, I'm gonna paste that. I'm gonna get the file name by copying this. I'm gonna go over to Notepad++ and paste it. Now you should note that whenever we're putting the names of the image files, we must always end it with the file name extension. Like these are .jpg images. We may have .gif images and .png images. Okay, so they are all different image formats, and their file name extensions must be included in the image source as well. Okay, so save that, go back to the web browser, refresh, and you can see the background of the page is now displaying those flowers that we had in the image. Alright, now one thing you need to note is that displaying images like this with many features in the background might be quite difficult for the users to read text. That's one of the reasons why I put this random text over here. You can see the random text is difficult to read. Think about it when we have a lot of text in this page. Okay, so it is a kind of practice for web developers not to put images in the background that have more features in the background. Okay, so I downloaded some images from the web, which I might show you examples of images that might be preferable in the background. Alright, so let's go to my samples image pictures directory, and I have this downloaded folder. So I have two images here. Let's try with this other one. Let's start with this bg2.jpg. So I'm gonna copy that and bring it to my examples directory. I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna go to example5.html document in Notepad++. I need to get the file name first. So I'm going back to the examples.jpg. So here's the file name. Copy that. Back to Notepad++. Paste the file name. And here we go. Back to the web browser. Refresh. And you can see looks a little bit more plain than the previous image, and text is easily readable. Right, let's try the other one. Back to my downloaded directory. This is actually the background image of Windows Vista operating systems. I'm gonna paste it down to my examples directory. Here we go. Vista.bmp, that's the name. Copy that, take it back to Notepad++, paste background image, back to the browser, refresh. You can see Windows Vista's background on the web page. So as you design your web pages, you might want to consider using background images on the web page, which looks pretty cool. Alright, okay, so the next thing I'd like us to look into is how we can locate images in other directories other than the directory that our HTML documents are in. What I mean is that in my examples directory where my HTML document is, I kept the images on the same directory. That's why the HTML document is able to locate the images. Now what if we have the images in some other directory, or probably a web directory that's in an external web source? Okay, so let me create a new directory in here to simulate that. I'm gonna create a new folder. So I'm gonna call this folder images. Then I'm gonna grab the images that I have over here and drop them in there. Here we go. Now that the images are in this directory, if you go over to the web browser and refresh, you're not gonna see the images anymore. This random, the image that was here, the penguin, has disappeared. The background is no longer there. That's because in our source code we were referring to the images as if they were in our directory, the directory of this example5.html document. Okay, so it is not able to see them anymore. So to retrieve those images, since we have the examples directory and we have the images directory in the examples directory, all we need to type in our source code to get to those images is the directory name followed by / before the final file name, as the image file name. So if we do that, we save it, go back to the web browser, refresh, you can see the images are back online, which is pretty cool, huh? So that's it for this image example. First of all, we started off with the displaying plain images on the web page, and we also discussed on how we can display images on the background of the web page. So I hope you found this informative, and thanks for viewing.